of the Savage Viewpoint. I'm doing a little test run. I know that you can hear me, but I also like to show you some things. Eventually in the future, you'll see my face once I have the right background for me. Until then, I'll find ways to show and share my commentary of what's going on. Hopefully, you can see the Savage Viewpoint screen over here on my monitor. And I like to show on where you could find the Savage Viewpoint. You can find the Savage Viewpoint at WordPress.com. If you go to the savageviewpoint.wordpress.com, you can see that. In fact, we could stop over there right now. As you can see, in the last couple of days, I've posted some articles about certain things that I think about. But we'll get to that a little later on. And you can scroll. I've been writing here for quite some time now. You can scroll down and see what I have to say about certain things. And also, some of the articles, if not most of the articles, has a link of articles that I read. Preferably, I would like to you read it for yourselves. Hopefully, you come to your own conclusion. Don't just take what I have to say, but do your own research. See what I have to say is right. See what I have to say you either agree, disagree, or if you're not sure about that. It's very important for us to develop the left side of the brain. In the last 2 or 3 decades, the public institution has shut that down. The reason for that is they want people dumb. They want people so dumbed down. So right now with the COVID pandemic, that people will accept the science even though it changed. They cannot see it's propaganda. They don't know that if you cannot question the science, then it is propaganda. It's very important for us to be able to question things. As a born again Christian, I don't know everything about God. At the same time, I know that I don't need to know everything about God. Man cannot be able to handle God with his mind. Man will be overwhelmed. There's quite a few examples throughout the Bible that shows that at certain times that men were just overwhelmed from things that God shows them. Now, I don't care if a person's been in seminary and has like 10 PhDs, they still will not know everything about God. Because we don't know everything about God, we'll have questions. And questions is not the same thing as doubting faith. Doubting faith is just something that says, hey, I just don't want to believe. Other times when you're not sure about certain things, like for example, the Virgin Mary, she was not sure on how she was going to give born to a child when she is still a virgin. She had a question about that, and she asked, and the angel told her the Spirit of God will come upon her, and that's how she would get pregnant. Now, I'm just going down a tangent just to show that we don't know everything. And it's okay if we don't know everything. What we need to do is when we don't know everything is to admit it and say, hey, I don't know. And that's why you can research. You can find out about certain things that you don't know. Thank God for the internet. We could read thousands of articles to see what we want to know about things we're interested in. And in the future, the Savage Viewpoint podcast, I'll go through and I'll show some of y'all how to research. I'll show you how to verify whether information is correct or not, or whether you should use that to help you understand with whatever is going on. Okay, you are currently looking at the savageviewpoint.wordpress.com, and from here I'll take you over to the Facebook page. I do have a Facebook page, and it is called, yes, I'm going to have it, the Savage Viewpoint. This is a personal blog, the Savage Viewpoint, and over here I just comment on certain articles that come through Facebook. So I have articles here that I comment on. I have articles over at the WordPress.com. And the next part of the podcast, we will take a look at the MSNBC mass media's blind eye to China. For this segment, I'd like to run through a Facebook scrum. We'll go over the Savage Viewpoint Facebook page, and then we'll go to actually my Facebook to go through a little scrum. Over here, you could search the Savage Viewpoint and click like if you'd like to stay up with what's going on. In the last episode, I noticed I used the word and I want to apologize for that. I try not to use that word because whenever I hear a speaker just go, it drives me crazy. That just shows me that person was not prepared for whatever it has to say. Yeah, sometimes you may have to think, but you have to kind of close your mouth when you think so you don't go, which is what a lot of professional journalism does, and it drives me crazy. Over here at the Savage Viewpoint, you can see that I have episode 1 of another podcast I do. It's called the Other Amazon Guys Podcast. With that, I focus more on what goes on in the warehouse and retail industry. I work in it. I give some points on how other workers can use and overcome. The episode that I did about overcoming the freezer, I share what I did to overcome the freezer. So if you know somebody that works in a warehouse-like environment and also works in a freezer, have them check it out. It is the Other Guys Podcast over on Spotify. Now, I don't know why Facebook wants me to go on to the next steps. I think I have plenty of information up on the Savage Viewpoint page. Leah Thomas, she is the famous swimmer right now. She is the man that is dominating women. She is smashing the quality that the left view has of it. People on that side believe that women can compete with men on sports, but Leah Thompson is shattering it. Some of them say that she's a transgender. No, she's still a dude. You will never see female go against male sports. They will not have a sex change so they can compete with males. It's usually males that can't beat other dudes that goes and changes their identity so they could be a weaker race. That is what's happening here with Leah Thomas. Now, this thought I had about the war with Russia and Ukraine. Another war, same reason. The only real winners of this war will be the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. They will be making more money off the blood of humans. They have one goal in mind. That is to enslave the planet. They want to get the Earth's population down to 20%. Whoever is left will be their slaves. We have a small group of elites that want to control the world. They are using the COVID pandemic, and if they could have a war along with this COVID pandemic, they feel that it will accelerate the population. Now let's switch over and let's go over to my actual profile. You can find me, John Savage, over here. Right here, there's a post that comes from Liberals Hate Me. He made this meme, or I'm not sure if he made it, but he posted this meme up. And I think it's a great visual of the Marxist playbook. They use racism to divide a nation. Communist countries such as China and Russia knows that the United States cannot be a world leading country if the nation or this population is divided. You have the example right here of Quintus Brown, BML activist. He was attempting to murder a mayoral candidate. And after 2 days, he was released on a $100,000 bail. Whereas Kyle Rittenhouse, who was labeled by the left as a White House supremacist, actually has spent time in jail. This is a great example of who's privileged and who is not. I think people need to get beyond the black and white. They need to get beyond police and bad guy. They need to actually see the problem with our country is that we have a corrupt court system. The idea of bail is an example of that. That says whoever is rich can avoid jail time. If you're not rich, then you will have to stay in jail. Well, when you have a person with attempted murder, I believe that person should need to stay in jail until his trial comes. And obviously, Quintus Brown is guilty. I don't see how he could find himself innocent. I grew up watching professional wrestling. I love WWE. I love AEW. Whenever I could find wrestling, I watched it. I grew up watching The Undertaker. And this year, he is in the class of 2022. And I think that he should be the only one that's inducted in that class. There should be nobody else. I think if there another person or more people added to it, then it's going to ruin this moment. So he should be the one that's inducted, and the person that created the character, Ms. Vince McMahon, should be the one that inducts him in. Okay, I'm going to do one more scrum. LeBron James is undefeated in the All-Star game, or Team LeBron. Team LeBron is 5-0 in the All-Star game. To be honest, I can't remember the last time I watched an All-Star game. I can't remember the last time that I was excited for an All-Star game. I think it might have been the one that Michael Jordan played on, the last one. The All-Star game is an exhibition game. But when Michael Jordan played it, it was East versus West. And Michael Jordan did not pick his teammates. He got whoever the fans voted for and whoever the coaches selected. That was his team. He played for the Chicago Bulls, so he was always on the East side. The games back then were competitive, even though they were exhibition. Players played to win, and I think that's why a lot of people enjoyed watching it. I think overall, when it comes to sports, I think people want to see a competitive matches. They want to see winners because as appreciation, Americans love winners. We don't like whiners. And that's what happened in the last decade or two, that a lot of professional athletes have no longer become professional, but they become whiners. When the pressure comes on, they have some sort of excuse about, oh, it's my mental health, you know. Back then, if you said, oh, it's just my mental health, you just revealed that you're just a weak individual. And remember when Michael Jordan got cut from his basketball team, his high school basketball team? You know, if he had that mentality, oh, it's my mental health, he would have never been the person that he was. And we would never got to witness one of the most competitive athletes to ever play a team sport. This is my last one. Luke Z. Rudkowski is one of the guys that I've been following for a long time. He has a site called We Are Change. And if you want true journalism that's unfiltered, then it's definitely a place to check out. He put this meme out. And yes, I do believe the Clintons are looking away to kill Ghislaine Maxwell just like they killed Epstein's pimp this past week. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the little Facebook scrum over here at the Savage Viewpoint. And I hope to see you guys down the road. And that's the Savage Viewpoint. Like I promised with here over at the Savage Viewpoint, I will go over one article that I recently written. It's a commentary about an article from MSNBC. And let's make a little quick stop over there. Reid's racism and a blind eye to China. Joy Reid is one of the many failed news journalists that's out there. Their rate is continuing to go downward and downward. They can't figure out why more people would rather listen to Joe Rogan rather than her and the other news journalists combined. Until they figure that out, you're just going to expect her ratings to continue to dwindle down. People are just tired of hearing left side opinions. They would rather just hear the news. They want to hear what's going on. And then from that point, if something that they share interests them enough or they're not sure about, then most likely they'll go and do their research. They'll look at different viewpoints and hopefully they could come up to a conclusion on what they think about what's going on. That's called logic and reason. That's why God gave us a left part of the brain so that we could think and reason. That's part of the free gift that He has given us. You know, we could go and click onto the link that I put up here. Let's see, where is it? Oh, yeah. Okay. This all began when Cantor Freedom rejected the invite to the CPAC. Now, I not heard why he has rejected that. But if you could read out here on Reid out, and they'll point out certain things about Cantor Freedom, and you could read it over. You could read it yourself. Over here, I'm going to stick over here at the Savage Viewpoint. You could later on and go click on to see what she has to say. I don't think MSNBC would like for me to give them free airtime, even though I think they could use it. Well, in the last 2 or 3 years, Reid has been promoting Black Lives Matter. She believes that black people has been mistreated by the police while she ignores the slave labor in China. People see that. Smart people see that. They see that, and it makes her look like a hypocrite. Well, it's gotten to the point to where the left media no longer cares about hiding their hypocrisy. They hate America so much, they hate their freedom so much that they are willing to be used as puppets by China to continue to tear down the freedoms that we have. So while Reid continues to have an open eye to police brutality in America, she keeps her eyes blinded to what's going on in China. And that's the Savage Viewpoint.